Hey there, Toonami Faithful, I'm Blackenfist, and here I'm going to be talking about some of the things that Toonami is going to eventually face if it does indeed come back. Some of the obstacles that Toonami is going to have to address if it comes back, or else it's going to be setting itself up for failure. But before I get into the stuff why the problems that Toonami will face, I want to address some of the criticism against some of the people that say that that are simply against the concept of Toonami coming back in the first place, you know. And I'm gonna be, I can't really defend all the people that say if Toonami comes back, you know, why they want Toonami to come back. I'm just gonna be telling you my personal, my personal point of view and why I think it could be a good idea to bring Toonami back. But before that, I'm gonna address some of the stuff, like some of the history of Cartoon Network. Pretty much, Cartoon Network in recent months has been trying to regain some of the its unique viewership, meaning that viewership that they used to have, but they lost because they were they were trying to pander to some of new audiences with their live action shows and stuff, which was a complete failure. They were trying to like leech off and jump on the bandwagon of other channels' audiences, but they completely failed on that. When they failed, then they started to finally get some of their original unique viewership back. And not to say that Cartoon Network is great or anything, but it's improving as a network, and it's trying to do that. Make a long story short, Cartoon Network has been recovering from itself since the last couple, from its horrible last couple years, and it's trying to at least be good now. All right. And I think that one of the great ways to do that is to bring Toonami back. It makes sense if you're trying to regain some of this audience back that you've lost. Toonami back would make sense. However, it doesn't mean that just bringing Toonami back is a golden idea and it'll solve everything. Because no, you're gonna have to do some stuff for Toonami to work in this day and age. Now, some of the criticism of more prominently the phone 999. Now, I love phone, love some of your videos. I've been watching you, but I'm gonna try to explain myself here on why Toonami's back. Now, let me tell you, I agree with you on one thing. No one can ever bring that old Toonami back, okay? At least for me, and I think a lot of other people, we're not trying to. We know, first of all, if we try to bring that Toonami back, it's setting itself up for failure, because that Toonami is of a different age. Things change, okay? So, trying to bring Toonami back now, it's like trying to bring a dinosaur to here, it's not going to work. So, we get that. I get that. Okay, at least I do. What Toonami has to do is redefine itself, okay? And it has done this in the past. And I'm not talking about when Toonami switched from Tom 3 to Tom 4, or when Toonami switched from weekdays to just Saturdays. I'm talking about they did this before really successfully back in the old days when they switched from Moltar to Tom 1. That was a big transition and a big redefinition that, quite frankly, was the greatest decision that anyone ever made with Toonami. Alright? It worked. It was a completely different personality, completely different character behind the helm that worked. But more importantly, was also that the programming redefined itself. In the beginning, Toonami was like a safe haven for like old animated 80s shows, or old classics, like Thundercats, like Johnny Quest, just old stuff that got to get itself its rerun. That's how Toonami, because they didn't have that much content to put there, so they just put some old stuff on there. However, and eventually, anime started to take a more predominant role in Toonami, and Toonami adjusted itself for that. You know what I mean? It redefined itself pretty good to that changing thing. So I don't think Toonami is static, man. That's when I hear you say that Toonami can never come back and all that, I just can't see it, because Toonami, you act as if Toonami is static, but it's not. It can change. It can redefine itself to this age. So by no means are we trying to bring the old Toonami back, because that thing will never be successful on in this day and age. They have to redefine Toonami if they're ever going to attempt to bring Toonami back. They have to redefine it and what Toonami is. Just keep that same old spirit intact. You know what I mean? Just keep that intact. Just redefine it. One of the things that I think Toonami's gonna have trouble with is, programming. You know, I'm pretty sure. First of all, I think the programming is, if they decide to bring Toonami back, is going to be a serious issue, because think about, Cartoon Network doesn't have much on its hands right now in the terms of programming. Bringing back the old shows, it might work in the short term, but in the long term, it's gonna, it's gonna fail. They need new blood. They need new programming. And I guess Dragon Ball Kai could have been it, but it was already ran on Nicktoons. So the chances of Dragon Ball Kai are really limited. Because if Toonami does pick up Dragon Ball Kai, there's several things that there are criteria for it to even run on there. First, because Nicktoons has already ran it, they need to at least run it completely uncut. Or close to it. But no, close to it is already too much editing. They need to run it almost completely uncut. Literally. There's just no way that this stuff could even... because most people have already seen the broadcasts. But I do believe that there's a portion of... there's an audience out there that has not seen Dragon Ball Kai. Because, first of all, I got basic cable, so I don't have Nicktoons network, so I didn't see Dragon Ball Kai when it first was running. So the only other option was the Toon's Eye version, but that one was a bastardized version of it. Who the hell would want to see that? So I think there is an audience that has not seen Dragon Ball Kai, simply because they didn't have Nicktoons network and stuff like that. However, I do realize that this audience is limited. So the only way I think this run would even be successful is if it captures some of that other audience that did watch Dragon Ball Kai on Nicktoons. But the only way you could capture their attention is if you can run it completely uncut. So that's the only way you could capture this audience, and then you can maybe build a Toonami audience for Dragon Ball Kai. But we all know in the past that even though Toonami has in the past has had flagship shows, Toonami needs more than flagship shows to, survive, because we all know what happens when Toonami is just surviving on one flagship show, Naruto, and it just completely... Toonami ended because of that. What's made Toonami great was its lineup, and quite honestly, that's where I think it's gonna be the hardest. It's great to find a flagship show, but what the lineup? What else? In terms of anime, I do believe that there's hope, because first of all, let's look at the dubbing companies. If the guys at Cartoon Network do this right, they'll see that there's a bunch of anime in the hands of these licensors here in North America that have not, some anime that have not even seen the light of day on television. There's anime all over the place that has not been broadcasted, and if anyone who makes decisions on Cartoon Network can see that there might be a gold mine that's still sitting out there. There was unaired episodes of One Piece. There's Soul Reaver. There's Soul Reaper. Excuse me. There's Fairy Tail. There's a whole bunch of anime that has not been aired, and it could possibly be aired. But you know what? Maybe anime is not even the right direction to go with Toonami, because I know that a lot of people, when they think of Toonami, they think of anime, but Toonami doesn't, it doesn't have to survive by anime, especially at first, because I know anime is a lot harder to get than just a regular animated show or cartoon from here. So maybe they could survive on stuff like, I'm a little comprehensive. I don't know if the right decision would be to bring just shows from Cartoon Network and old shows and just move them to Toonami, like Young Justice or Generator X. I don't think that'd be the right decision. But if Toonami is to come back, they need a lineup. And I just like in the old days, in the Moltar days, where they just took other shows that had been long gone, or you know, they pretty much gave them over here and gave them reruns. You know, Toonami, if it comes back, they could do that for a while, but they'll have to, while they're doing this, they have to be buying their time to get new content out. You know, possibilities are there's a whole bunch of licensing companies here in the US that have anime sitting somewhere that have not been televised that could possibly, they could be giants if they were televised. You know what I mean? Don't tell me they're not. I mean, one show, I mean, even back in the day, Yu Yu Hakusho, that was a surprise hit. Gen Fukunaga, the president of Funimation, he never expected that show to be as great as hit. But it was. But all it took was exposure. That's all it took for it to be successful. There's a bunch of shows that have not seen exposure outside of the anime community, and I think that if they got exposure on some platform like Toonami, they could do that. However, I'm not delusional. There's a whole bunch of ways that they could mess the Toonami thing up. But those are some possibilities. Okay, I think I've rambled a lot in this video, but whatever. Anyway, those are my ideas of Toonami. They're a slippery slope. They definitely need new blood. They cannot survive on the old stuff. Okay, they can maybe do a special on old stuff or maybe survive on it for a while, but that's a short-term solution, you know? So, for the most part, they need new content. Need new content. They need, and quite frankly, it's out there. There's a whole bunch, as I said before, there's a whole bunch of shows out there, sitting out there that have not seen the light of day on American television. And if they really need to put filler in there, they could put other shows on Cartoon Network, like Young Justice, on Toonami. However, I don't suggest you do that because, quite frankly, when they did that with like Teen Titans and stuff like that, it didn't work. It did work a little more when Samurai Jack and Mega XLR were put on Toonami because, quite frankly, those shows, you know, you couldn't see them anywhere else at that point. So, anyway, I hope you got my position on why I think Toonami's coming back, could come back. I think it could come. I think it's a good idea to come back if Cartoon Network is trying to regain some of its old viewership, and not really old viewership, but that unique viewership that they lost from not having good animation on their channel or cartoons on their channel for years, you know. And they could definitely bring in some new blood by bringing Toonami back. And by the way, if Toonami comes back, phone and others like him, if Toonami comes back, Toonami could rely on the old fans, but ultimately, if Toonami is going to survive, if it comes back, it needs new blood. It needs new fans. And so, if Toonami comes back, Toonami's not going to try to target you. It's going to try to target new people, you know? So it's going to probably target new people that are interested in these other animes or these other shows. And I don't think that ruins our memories or what's in Toonami. Nothing will change what Toonami did in the past, in my opinion. But anyway, that's Blackenfist. That's me. I'm Blackenfist. Stay gold.